not. Lewis.
Wait, we got a question, right?
Get on with it.
Yes, get on with it.
Get on with it.
Don't make God tear down the ceiling.
Come on, what's your question?
May I finish?
No.
What are your thoughts on Captain Janeway from Voyager as both a Trek fan and as a feminist?
Okay, you ever see SF Debris reviews?
Yeah. Yes, but not Voyager.
Oh, you should watch his Voyager stuff. Basically, Captain Janeway is dedicated to making her crew suffer. Like, in every possible way, she is like an evil dictator. As a feminist, she's a strong central figure, the problem being that everybody frickin' worships her and they can't let her make a mistake. So it becomes that the strong, independent woman kind of thing.
Even when she's doing really stupid things.
She does really stupid things, too. I mean, I actually disagree in some regards for like episodes like Scorpion. I actually really liked her proposing the idea of the alliance with the Borg. That made a lot of sense to me, especially in the situation, and Species 8472 was a larger threat. They were very clearly dedicated. They did not say, oh, we're just going to kill the Borg and that's the end of it. Your galaxy will be purged, were their exact words.
I love the very opening of Voyager. It was, we have to destroy the array because someone else could use it. You've never heard of a time delay. You've never heard of a bomb. We're just gonna, no, we can't go back, we must blow it up. Well, I've got these fuses over here. No, we're gonna stay.
See, why do all the villains in Star Trek have mission statements? Anyway, just continue.
Well, memetic status for one thing, but also in terms of the Borg, actually, the reason why they have mission statements is actually it's kind of bizarre to think about this, but the Borg are not just a catchphrase machine. Everything they say makes sense. We are the Borg, as in, okay, you know who we are the Borg. Or then don't screw with us because we are the Borg. It's that knowledge of it is. Prepare to be assimilated, basically, and then they just say, hey, you will be assimilated, your culture will adapt to service hours. It's basically saying, in case you haven't heard of us, here's our deal. Resistance is futile. Don't waste our time. And then we are the Borg, just repeat. It makes sense, because the Borg think. They have billions of thoughts, of course they would think. But anyway, back to Janeway and what Nash said. Basically, the problem being, I would have been perfectly fine with them needing to say there's just not enough time, we have to destroy it, if they had actually bothered to acknowledge those other ideas, but they didn't. It was just, well, just fire tri-cobalt explosives and boom.
Yep, and now we're stuck here.
And now. Captain. I do like there's like the opening season for like season 5 actually has her like holed up in her quarters or thinking like, man, I really screwed up.
Took you 5 years to figure that one out. Huh?
Yeah, let's get the writers finally got around to realizing that they were that. It's bizarre the early seasons of Voyager because they really did not know what the hell they were doing. They basically labeled in terms of the time code for the episode number 801 as if they were continuing Next Generation, it just without the recognizable characters. But there you go. Anyway, we should ask other questions. Let's go back there.
I understand that you're a huge fan of Jennifer personally.
Mm-hmm.
And my uncle and I have discussed for a long time about then if they made a prequel or sequel, then we get a prequel. But how would you feel if they did make a sequel to Jennifer Aniston?
I'm waiting for you guys because I know you guys have seen the thing.
Oh, I remember almost nothing. But
Really?
Yeah, it was so long ago. But
The Thing is one of my favorite horror films, and that's something people never seem to understand about a really good horror film. They don't need sequels. The whole point of a horror film is to tell a complete story. It's not like, it's coming back. That's a slasher film, that's a different thing. The thing was, it was sci-fi, but it was mainly horror, and the whole point of it was to get to that conundrum at the end with McCready and Child sitting there. And that was, that closing scene, that's all you need. That's the whole story right there. That's the whole point of it.
I'm okay with horror sequels as long as they're well executed. For example, I like Exorcist 3 more than the original Exorcist. But in terms of The Thing, I do like some of the ideas floated by in that abandoned script that was originally going to be made for the Sci-Fi Channel. I mean, obviously, it wouldn't have been good, probably, mostly because of the special effects matter. But a lot of the script ideas were good, putting in a different kind of desolate setting, but also that much closer. If you haven't heard it, basically they move it from the Antarctic to a desert. But there's a lot more animals in the desert than there are in the Antarctic, so there's that much more risk of it spreading out. So and they have horror ideas like The Thing knows how to get around the hot wire test now, and they have to figure out a new test. And actually, I did like that in The Thing prequel, the fillings idea. That was something that was an interesting idea. Just nothing was very well executed in that prequel.
I've never bothered to watch the prequel, and in terms of having a sequel to The Thing, I mean, it's one of my favorite horror films as well. And the problem with having a sequel to The Thing, if you continue the story more or less where it leaves off, you answer the question of the end. And the movie, in part, is about paranoia, and if you basically just answer the question, then you remove the point of the first film. It's a sequel that could actually detract from the original. Also, if you go the other route, which they sometimes do with horror sequels, and just introduce a bunch of new characters but the same alien menace is there, then it feels like you might as well have not even made this movie. You could just make a similar film and not even call it The Thing 2.
Well, there is a good exception to that, and it was probably the most brilliant choice ever, considering with Alien, that was a straight-up horror film, and Cameron opted not to make his sequel horror. He made it an action film, and it worked because he changed up the entire, underlying structure of it, and it made it something its own and not just, a rehash of the first one.
And of course, if you've seen my reviews of The Thing from Another World, you know where trying to make The Thing into an action movie didn't really work out for those comics. But anyway, Tom, you pick some?
I'm gonna pick The Man with the Hat.
Hey, I have a question for Nat. Actually, two questions for Nat. Ash?
Okay.
One, did you enjoy the beer I gave you last year?
Yes.
And also, are you ever going to do another scripted What the Fuck is Wrong with You?
Well, everybody asks me that. I'd like to. I honestly would. It's part of it is the live show that I do each week. I get so many really good stories for that, and trying to sometimes if I felt like I could take any of those and do a scripted one from it, I feel like I'm rehashing. And on top of that, while I'm not opposed to the idea of going back and doing another one because they are fun, I'm looking more toward, you've got to keep evolving when you do this stuff. You got to keep changing, you got to keep reinventing yourself because your audience, I know some people can pull off 300 episodes.
I evolved by putting up shelves behind me.
And I know some people can do that. That's not unheard of. I mean, hell, Mythbusters is going, 10 years now, and they've just, same formula, no problems. I know people can do that, but for me, if I get on something and stick in a format for too long, I feel like I'm just, in a rut and I'm not moving. I've got new stuff I'm going to be planning I'm going to be moving a bit more toward YouTube because the market's kind of, I say the market, the whole online video stuff, we're realizing that diversity is kind of essential, and changing how our revenues comes in and how we distribute our media is kind of important. So I want to be adding a YouTube component, but that has got to be all original content, or you're going to be spending every single day playing with Content ID, and you'll spend more time messing with that than you do producing content. So yeah, and Here There Be Dragons, yes, I'm still working on it. I've got one in the can right now that I would have been editing, except I had to help Lupa move this week, and then I'm here. But I don't know. I may, if something prompts it enough, I'll get back to it. But I don't have anything slated right in front of me at the moment. So.
On the YouTube point, I do have a YouTube channel now where I'm uploading old episodes of The Top of the Fourth Wall, and the big problem I've been running into, which I expected, was the ending credits, because I use different music. So it is a pain in the ass to have to resave every episode, but with a different ending credits music. So I can speak for that, but yes, we're diversifying our revenue stream so that there's not just one central thing we're getting money from. So,
Have you ever found a story that fit all of the guidelines, like no death, no actual like pain? Well, you know what I mean? Nobody was physically like injured like badly, no religion, no politics, but you still were like, this is too fucked up.
Sometimes. What she's talking about is when I've kind of got guidelines, because what I do is I'm trying to be funny. And I know some people are a lot more callous and cavalier about that kind of thing, but I don't think it's funny laughing at a story where somebody dies.
You don't want to make fun of the dead person?
I don't like laughing at stories where someone is violently attacked in any kind of sense, because that's just, you know, when they end up in the hospital, when they have, you know, like, I don't like doing that, it's not funny. And politics I avoid mainly because I don't need the bullshit, pretty much, because I made one libertarian joke, like, years ago, and I still have people. I've got one guy on my Twitter feed, I had to mute him, because every other day he kept asking me the exact same question. So, what do you got against libertarians? What do you got against libertarians? What do you got against libertarians? And I'm like, I'm not answering it because I'm not playing this game on Twitter. No, I'm not taking the bait. So I have a set of guidelines for that, mainly because I want to be funny. I don't want to be, you know, psychotic or a sociopath. But there are even still times when I get a story and nobody's hurt, you know, it falls on my, and I still look at it and I go, this is more sad than funny. I can't laugh at this, and it's a balancing act, because, well, human stupidity has got great grounds for laughter, but it also has great grounds to make you, I don't want to be on this planet anymore. So it's a tightrope.
Especially if it involves, you especially prefer it if it involves human orifices.
Yeah. Oh my God, the things people put in their butt. It's amazing. And the thing is, some guy will look at, like, you know, an eel and go, yeah, that goes in my butt. And they think,
guns.
Oh, yeah, the ladies, don't put guns in your pocket. That's not a pocket. That's not where guns go.
It's not a bag of holding.
And I wouldn't have to say it if it didn't keep happening. You know, it's don't put things, no. So yeah.
Don't put it in your mouth.
Let's see. You, sir. Right there. You. Yes, you.
For Here Be Dragons, I know that you're more of a...
Why did they get more popular than you, Luke?
I'm okay with that.
I know you are an old school fantasy nerd from past, like I'm assuming you've read some of the Dragonlance comics, correct?
Yeah.
Are you going to cover the Dragonlance animated movie that has Lucy Lawless and Kiefer Sutherland?
I might, if it comes up. I've got some like off kind of stuff. Like I did the Star Wars bit, mainly because it came up, it was relevant, and I wanted to, you know, cash in on that. No, that's only partly true. I'm a huge Star Wars nerd too, and I kind of consider Star Wars fantasy, because if that's science fiction, then wow, people don't understand science. But I still kind of keep to the basic premise that I started with the show, which was I want to explore why. Since late 70s, and before the late 70s, there were huge fantasy movies, like the Sinbad movies, the Harryhausen stop motion stuff. those were tremendous. Those were gangbusters. But the blockbuster didn't exist yet. And I wanted to explore why, from when Star Wars came out all the way to Lord of the Rings, to the first Peter Jackson, I'm not talking the Backstreet ones, good guy now. But the Peter Jackson ones, why, for some reason, Hollywood could not get it together to produce a fantasy blockbuster. And if you look, there isn't one. There isn't a movie that, you know, there's some that made back their budget, there's some that made a little bit more, but there's none that just like blew the doors off, like Star Wars, or even Star Trek had a couple of big blockbusters there, like First Contact blew the doors off. Hell,
Wrath of Khan.
Wrath of Khan was just incredible. There are lots of movies like that, but fantasy just didn't do it, and that's part of the premise. So I'll look at stuff off the beaten path like that, but you know, there's also the stuff like everyone loves, like Highlander. That's the next one after Lady Hawk, and that one's gonna get me lynched.
Well, only by Spoonie, because he takes it way too serious.
Oh no, the whole internet is gonna just rise up and go, oh, you say it's a parody, Trump hires Jesus, what are you doing?
There can be only fun.
Wait, well, just to give you a preview about why I'm going to be lynched, you're really expecting a whole bunch from a movie where you have one of the most famous Scotsmen in the world playing a Spaniard, playing an Egyptian, and you have a Frenchman playing a Scotsman. Someone kind of was a little confused.
It's really this bizarre thing in Hollywood where if you have any other ethnicity or nationality, you can play any other role in the world. You can have British people playing Frenchmen, Russians playing South Americans.
You ever seen the movie Red Heat?
I have not, but I know of it.
Arnold Schwarzenegger plays a Russian.
What a glorious mother Russia. Let's go hat right there.
This is one for Likara. I'm kind of asking this to anybody on the internet that plays Pokemon. Have you caught them all?
Yes. Yeah. And Pokemon X, which I have right here, I have caught all 718 Pokemon. Yeah. Now, before anyone says Deontay, it's not out in America yet, so there we go.
Now what are you going to do?
But have you caught them all ever?
Before this, no. Actually, the first time I ever caught all Pokemon in a game before. I even made this really sentimental post on Tumblr, like a letter to Professor Oak. Dear Professor Oak, sorry this took me so long.
Then you haven't truly caught them all.
Whoa! Shots fired!
Dude, there's a random number generator. It's impossible to catch every single goddamn Rattata out there.
Okay.
I just see Lewis, big mansion, just like every room is filled to the brim with Pokeballs. They're all mine.
Is your Rattata in the top percentile?
I'm just like sitting there all Gendo Akari style. Yes, my task is complete. Now what the hell do I do with them?
Do you have all the forms?
There's this Tumblr, MS Paint, A Top of Fourth Wall Adventures. A Top of Fourth Whale. The first whale, I should say. And there's this new thing on Tumblr called Poke Shaming, which takes that pet shaming thing where like they take a dog and they'll like say I pooped on the rug or something. And in this case they do it with Pokemon. And in my case they did like a Geodude dressed as 90s kid. And Pyramid Head as one is I'm banned from competitive play. Anyway, Tom.
Choose wisely.
The sir in the Warner Brothers shirt.
Oh, thanks. This is for all four of you, and this is in your honest opinions. Can you please explain the pros and the cons of setting up a Patreon account, if you're considering opening one or if you have one?
The pros is that you are beholden to the people who actually watch your stuff. And God bless Blip. I'm so glad they're there. I'm glad they've given us the opportunity they have. But even with the freedom that they allow us, even with everything, you still, God damn it, I'm so sick of that Big Shaver commercial. You sometimes with us, with a lot of creative types, period, you don't like having someone have a say, even if it's just something as small. And I know some of my other producers, even Diamanda has bumped heads with Blip on occasion because of advertisers. Advertisers look at the content and go, we don't want to be associated with this. So Patreon, the best part about that is the people who actually want to see your stuff can make it happen directly. And you're beholden to the only people who should really matter when you're doing this, and that's your audience. The downside is, and I'm trying to help with that, I have a segment on my live show where I try and get people to send me Patreons for people who they think need more recognition and need, someone to say, hey, look, these people are doing great work and they deserve your support. Yeah. The problem is, if you don't have the recognition already, building it is so hard. And it can be discouraging when, you see someone set up a Patreon and then instantly, boom, they're getting $7 grand a month. And you're like, why aren't I getting that? Well, you gotta build it. And it can really be off-putting. Numbers in general with what we do can really just you sit there and go, oh, people didn't like me, why am I doing this? It hurts, it really does, and numbers are like the big speed bump. They're like a wall you have to get past. You go, well, screw it, I'm doing what I love and it's gonna work out eventually. So the upside is you get the people who really should be calling the shots to say, here, I approve what you're doing, keep doing it. The downside is, if you're just getting started, it's going to take a while, and you've got to be patient and not discouraged with it.
Or make a potato salad.
That's not a Patreon.
That's an abomination.
No, it is not, because he set it up as a joke, and now he's donating all the extra money to charity.
That's good. I like that. What's annoying me though is that it's not him. He's not the one I have a problem with. It's whoever at Kickstarter greenlit that, especially considering, and you laugh, but it's every other Kickstarter that had a really good, worthy goal. Like, I know a couple people wanted to be doing some stuff for charity, and Kickstarter just said, no, we're not going to approve this. We're not going to approve. And they approve a potato salad, and that really just, so much good could have been done with that, but no. Let's go with the dude making potato salad because that's funny.
We're still on the Patreon, and it's probably more important for you guys because I don't know if you set up Patreon.
The thing is, I'm still kind of looking over the pros and cons myself. I'm very uncomfortable asking people for money, and that's kind of an issue with me. So, but it is still something I'm looking at. I don't know all the pros and cons. It's something I'm still looking at, so I'm going to leave it to the others.
I do have an account. I too am sort of uncomfortable asking people for money, so the way I set up my Patreon was that I did it more like I was selling ad space, so that whoever donates has the opportunity to plug their own projects. If you like, even the minimal amount you donate on mine.
Yeah, Allison did the same.
Yeah, I will plug whatever website or project you're working on, so long as it's not like pornography. I'll do it, and if there's a little more, then you can do it on the end credits of my.
So you'll promote baby seal bashing then? What do you got against baby seals? You don't like baby seals?
You ever seen a baby seal? Things are dicks.
I did have a little proviso in each one that says with Vietnamese and no.
So you think beating up baby seals is reasonable? When did you stop beating up baby seals?
But no, if you're, I can see how setting up Patreon could seem uncomfortable, but you can set up in such a way that it's more like you're selling something to someone.
I'm going to be setting up a Patreon after this convention. Mostly because it's a long story why I haven't up until now, especially since a lot of the other producers have started doing so. In this case, the real difficulty for me is trying to figure out base level rewards for people who are only donating like $2 a month. because a lot of the other producers, they do, well, you can see my content early. That doesn't work for me. I am oftentimes still working on the Top the Fourth Wall episode the Sunday night before it goes up on Monday, and I stick to my schedule. It's always weekly. I have an episode ready already in the can just because I knew it was coming to ConBravo for this. And right now I have some good ideas because I put on my new website asking people what are suggestions you think I should do for low-level Patreon users, and they've tossed out a few good ones. But that's the thing with me, because once you are beholden, like Nash says, you're beholden to them. You have to provide their reward for donating to you. And I say donation, really, it's just taking the concept of a patron of the arts and paying for it, which is why it's harder to say. Which is why I get why psychologically you say I don't like asking people for money, but really in this case it's no different than selling merchandise. It's just in this case they become a producer on your show.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Hello and welcome to ConBravo in beautiful Hamilton, Ontario, where internet reviewers are questionable. What? Wow, that would be taken the wrong way. Look, okay, all joking aside, I want to say, if it hasn't been said already, thank you for what you do. All of you. And you and everyone else back at Channel Awesome and thatguywiththeglasses.com. Not only have you spared us the agony of the schlock out there, but you also give us a heads up on good stuff, such as Spider-Man 2099. I'm going to be coming back to that in a minute. Not only that, but you also inject humor into the reviews, for which I am very thankful, given that most other indie reviewers don't have that, and how in my line of work it's very much appreciated that you have something to laugh about. Yeah, I'm a living caregiver for my dementia-addled grandmother, so.
Are you laughing at the dementia-addled grandmother?
That is not part of the shtick. Anyways, Lynn Carr. I'm trying to keep this as brief as pointed out by the Wizard Outpost, that you only have 5 minutes to listen to one person at a time. Nerd, yes, but it came up in my research. Spider-Man 2099. Although you didn't have an altogether negative reaction to it, you never brought up the author's name, Peter David. You brought attention to Rick Leonardi's artwork with disdain, and you mentioned him by name, but not Peter David. And then I learned you actually liked DC versus Marvel and wouldn't review it. Peter wrote half of that.
Peter David has a huge-ass bibliography. I mean, it's probably easier to list off the things he hasn't done.
He's very hit or miss, though.
Yeah. Oh, and lest we forget, Peter David, like yourself, is an uber Trekkie. So much so, yes.
New Frontier.
And DS9's The Siege. And, oh yeah! Created and written New Frontier.
There's a question here somewhere, right?
It makes me wonder if you lost the bet in Arnold.
No, it's just a matter of I don't bring it up because I often am not looking at the credits for the books unless I just I'm really curious, like who wrote this? Like, oh.
Tom DeFalco. Yeah.
Or it's who the hell is this person?
Okay.
So it's nothing personal against Peter David. I love Peter David's work.
Perfect. Okay, well then, my question is really more of Wes.
That wasn't a question?
No. Now from now on, no matter who it is, could you mention the author's name as well as the artist when you give the reviewing material in question? For example, this week we'll be reviewing, ta-da, written by so-and-so and penciled by Tom, Dick, and Harry.
That's a thought. I'll consider it.
Okay. Besides drawing attention to what's decent for the positive reviews, you'll also give fair warning against the Brodsky's and sexist Frank Millers out there. And besides, you as an author should recognize, give credit where credit is due.
Very good.
Anyways, that's all I came to say. Thanks for your time. Keep up the good work and give our best to the rest of HQ. This is Lightning Rad signing off. Live long and prosper.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yep. Okay. Probably best written for both. I mean, Yellow Ranger I'd have to take a bit more thought into, but in terms of Pink Ranger, Jen from Time Force, especially as a feminist, because while a lot of her motivation is built around getting revenge for her dead boyfriend, really, once he comes back into the picture, her motivation just turns around because she realizes what an asshole he was. And it becomes more about completing the mission, and there's clearly an arc to her character. Otherwise, yeah, I'm trying to think. Maybe Corone from Lost Galaxy. Lost Galaxy and in Space, because you have someone who started off as a villain in the previous season and then went to become a hero and have all the guilt associated with that. Yellow Ranger takes a bit more thought into that. I'll have to think about that. So, let me pick the next person. Let's go. Anyone on that side? No, anyone on that side. You, sir, Beard. Yep.
Hi. My question for the entire panel. It has to do with reboots and remakes. You know, the standard line, oh, they're going to remake it, they're going to screw it up, and then they do. But I wanted your opinion. When is a remake not only a good thing, but, you know, not only it's a good thing, but beneficial to franchise? When do you think it's, you know, we have to remake this?
Well, we've got one currently in the theater, the Planet of the Apes ones.
Yeah.
Which I guess the criteria there was, yeah, it's the same premise, but they actually made it sensible. I mean, you have this goofy, really goofy concept of the apes taking over the planet from mankind. And even in the 60s, even those, while they're straight, they're done serious, it's still a goofy concept. And it's still kind of silly. And you're like, okay, they've taken over the planet. Why are they living in mud huts? I don't get that. But what the reboot, or I guess the remake, I don't know how to describe the new ones, what that has done is it took that silly concept and said, okay, how can we do this absolutely straight without being ridiculous and make it make sense? And it's kind of got a basis in science, and it's still, you know, it's compelling, and you can't look at that first, at Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and say that's, you know, a goofy movie. It's got a couple of humorous bits in it, but they found a way to make it fresh and relevant and good. And that's, if you can't find a way to make something relevant to the time you're making it and how you're doing it, if you can't find a reason to do it, why bother?
Nash, have you seen the original Planet of the Apes?
Oh yeah.
Because, I don't know, I find it to be a really solid film. At least the first one, and they had 4 terrible sequels, which I'm doing a video series on the second one.
I like the 4th one.
Yeah, the first one was nowhere near as good as the first one. Better than the 2nd, 3rd, and 5th.
Nobody can top Ricardo Montalban.
Ricardo Montalban.
The 3rd is the worst of the series, I think.
Yeah.
It has no plot.
No, I think 5th is still the worst. Well, technically the Tim Burton movie is the worst one.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's the 5th one. They slashed the budget, which it could have been so much better.
Actually, the budget went down less and less each sequel.
Yeah.
And they did some impressive things despite, you know, increasingly shrinking the budget. Especially with the 4th one, in my opinion, because we have like lots and lots of shots with lots of extras and lots of makeup. And unlike the 2nd film where they slashed the budget on the makeup and whatnot, you can't tell that a lot of them are not like as good masks as the main characters.
You can thank Century Village for the 4th one, because 20th Century Fox made Century Village. That was the perfect set for it. So they saved so much money on sets just by shooting that.
About remakes and reboots, I mean, whenever we hear about a new one, we sort of, we groan. And every once in a while, there'll be a good one, though. I mean, I like the Fright Night remake. The new... So a lot of people like it anyway. The Planet of the Apes remake, reboot is actually quite good. Yes. I'm told that the 21 Jump Street reboot is actually pretty funny. I haven't seen it because I don't really watch a lot of comedies. So we sort of groan every once in a while, but they're actually, it's such a roll of the dice almost no matter what Hollywood picks. So, you know, when they say there's a reboot of this, unless I'm like so personally attached to it, like something like RoboCop, I'll probably just give it a shot and go in with an open mind.
Well, we've gotten cynical about it too, because it's just been such a dearth of them. It's been one after another, and I don't think it's so much we have a problem with reboots as we're like, make something new. I mean, Looper was not the best movie ever, but God bless them, at least they tried to do something new. They made a new property.
Yeah.
Super 8 was an example of taking an old style of film and just doing it in a modern time.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Super 8? It's basically like the Goonies, but with monsters.
I would say the issue with remakes is, I think remakes are good when you have like a concept that was really good but was never really executed well. Judge Dredd.
Yeah.
Like the original Judge Dredd, great concept, but they didn't really do much with it. And so when they remade it, it actually was it was a perfect vehicle, and it turned out really well. Problem is, a lot of the time we remake things that were pretty well loved to begin with, and it comes across as more of a money grab than let's see what we can do with this concept.
Your turn.
Oh, it's my turn. You miss in the front row. Yes.
Yep. Some of them, not a lot of them. My brother is more into them than I am.
I was going to ask what your opinion on Superman vs. the League was, both as an adaptation and considering what you said in this episode.
I've unfortunately not seen the full thing, but I have seen the ending fight, which, if you've never seen Superman vs. the Elite, it's an adaptation of What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way, which is a story about a group of new superheroes who use more and more extreme methods. And I don't remember if they actually do kill anyone, but they come very close at least. And they're like, well, Superman, he's Boy Scout. We're gonna end the threat right away, and Superman's not gonna do that. He's just gonna waffle around while the villains continue to do their thing. And Superman challenges them. They basically challenge Superman to a fight, and it looks like they kill him. And it's like, haha, we were right all along, stupid Superman. And then like Superman's booming voice over everything. Yes, I understand now. And it looks like he kills them one after another. And they're just like, sweet merciful crap, what have we done?
You're pissed off Superman.
And of course, in the end, he didn't kill any of them. He just showed them. Yeah, it was pretty frickin' scary when I tried to frickin' murder you all, didn't it? And that's the thing. You're not built around trying to inspire hope in people. You're just trying to create fear. You're trying to create an environment where your no-nonsense, kill-all solutions and just don't hold water, because then someone like him is going to come along who is much more powerful, and then what you going to do then? And he ends them non-lethally, and it's glorious. And you should definitely watch the movie and read the book. There you go. Oh, actually, that was a question in relation to the 300th episode. Yes, I think it's a perfect example of what I was talking about. Superheroes causing more inspiration of hope and the possibilities presented before them, rather than Frank Miller's, I feel like killing something tonight.
You had a second part, or just?
There you go. Okay.
I did want to mention, you mentioned the DC movies. Have you seen Justice League War?
Oh, that was the adaptation of Tower of Babel, right?
Yeah.
I have not seen it.
No, it's not Tower of Babel. It was the New 52 reboot. It was a Justice.
That's the opening arc thing, right?
Yeah. Here's I'm going to demonstrate to you the entire last half of the movie. This is Darkseid. That's the entire last half of the movie. It's beautiful. It's terrible. Yeah. Like, It kind of starts with Diana like gouging his eye out, and it's all downhill from there.
You know why they did that, right? Why they did that in Flashpoint? They did it because the new 52 is here to stay. Get used to it. Otherwise, there's no reason to adapt Flashpoint or that story because they're not good stories. I mean, Flashpoint is a decent Flash story, but it's not like a Crisis on Infinite Earths level. You know, worlds will live, worlds will die, nothing will ever be the same kind of thing. It's just a Flash story where the universe gets changed around.
Hey Batman, I know you just strapped me to a machine and hit me with lightning, and I almost died.
God, that's so stupid. Okay,
hey, Batman,
in the universe, Flash doesn't have his powers, so he goes and seeks out Batman, and of course Batman doesn't know who the hell this guy is, because of course the universe has been changed. So he's like, okay, I need to get my powers again. You're gonna strap me to a chair, and put chemicals on me, and then get struck by lightning. Twice!
Yeah, because the first time he almost died, so it was like, well, that was...
That didn't work!
Let's do it again! Because that's how science works.
Science?
Who's next?
I think it's Tom's turn.
Was that my turn already?
Oh, whose turn was it last?
Yeah,
I'll go.
Well, Leon, this is a question for you.
Okay.
Here, basically 2 parts.
Oh.
In your Attack of the Track series, you basically review lots of episodes that are mostly, well, the sillier episodes of Star Trek. Yeah, just now you said basically, I don't like comedies, but you do review the comedy, like the comedy aspects of Star Trek.
Yeah.
When you review something, and this is actually for all of you, but mostly for you, is it basically that you have to both love and hate something before you make a video on it?
Well, in terms of Attack of the Track, I chose the episodes that I thought I could get some good material out of them. Didn't last very long, that's sort of the end of that. So, but in terms of my main show, when I'm setting up a new Renegade cut, it's just, do I have enough to say about this? Do I, you know, and is there enough depth in this movie that I could go on and on for this for 12 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes or so. And that's really it for me. It's whether or not it has depth. Since I don't really do comedy very much at all, I rarely have to think about that.
And to be fair, the Omega Glory is a very, very silly episode, and not because they were trying to be. They were completely straight-faced about that.
Well, when it comes to loving something, in the broadest sense, I mean, you with comics and, you know, with movies and comic video games, me with like a genre, you have to, this sounds like the biggest paradox, but you have to love something in order to be able to hate it. You have to love something overall in order to look at something that's done so badly and so poorly and just completely fails to live up to its potential. You have to be able to love that genre to be able to go, this is messed up, you did this wrong, this was a problem, and you, I guess we do these reviews to entertain in some ways, but also because we like to say, these were the pitfalls, we'd like these to be avoided in the future, please, because we want this stuff to be, we don't want to do it because we're like, oh, this is so stupid. We want these things to be better. We want to see, you know, better and sometimes it comes off like, you know, all you do is hate these things. No, I mean, with Doctor Who, I love Doctor Who, but the bad ones just make me sad because I've seen the good ones, and the good ones blow me away, and I'm like, you could be doing this. Why are you doing it so badly?
And this is something I've talked about before on the show. Actually, I've tried to encourage any kind of film students and whatnot to watch Mystery Science Theater 3000. And the thing is, while it won't necessarily teach you how to be a great filmmaker, it will teach you what not to do. And it's the same thing that goes with my show. If you look at why something fails, why something is bad, poor anatomy, poor pacing, just a stupid plot point, or something very silly that you just can't accept, or just in general dumbness of characters and not like anything, you can know to avoid that for your own work.
Like 30 blank panels and hundreds of blank.
We got the point, Frank.
Now, I don't love Holy Terror at all. I can't love that. I could hate that without loving a single bit.
I would like to say that this question actually really intrigued me because I guess this is something I didn't think about, but to an extent, I think there is a measure in which I love everything that I review. Like even the things that I think are like complete garbage, beginning to end. I find that fascinating. There's something about that I soak up. You know, I just wonder, how can this be? And it's not so much that it angers me or it's something that I begrudge. It's just like this is utterly fascinating that someone can fail this badly.
Someone at some stage looked at this part of the process and said, yes.
And I just love that. Like, I can't get enough of that feeling, like just that utter confusion that washes over me. It's like, how can this be? Like, my main thing is weird video games, so it's kind of tied into that. I just like, what were they thinking when they made this? This is really weird. So, yes, I think, yeah, part of the stuff that I hate, I kind of love it at the same time.
You know, a weird thing is, this goes back to the Patreon thing, it's a money thing for a lot of things. Like, a good example is E.T., the Atari 2600. They knew they had a snake. They knew it was a piece of crap, but they just had to have it out there because they had no choice. They were beholden to this stuff, and that's kind of why being beholden in certain ways is not good, because it causes crap like that. That guy in the Mario hat's been waiting a long time.
I was going to ask you what you thought of the new Planet of the Apes prequel, but somebody already asked that, so I'm just going to ask this. When are you going to review Hobgoblins?
Bayless already reviewed Hobgoblins, actually.
Did?
Yep. Who? Bayless. Hey, he's another Canadian producer. Why the hell isn't he here?
I know. Are we talking the movie?
Canada's not that big.
I want to see someone review Hobgoblins 2.
Are we talking the movie that MST3K did?
Yeah, I'm assuming we are. Is that Hobgoblins, right? Hobgoblins, Hobgoblins, what you gonna do with those You people have never seen this episode, have you? Oh my God, you've got to see MST3K's Hobgoblins. At one point, they leave the theater and put cardboard cutouts of themselves up with like a tape recorder. Oh man, why'd they do that? Here comes this guy.
I'm ready to sit.
That joke from the Batman and Robin?
Which one? The back credit card?
No, the one where he went off and he put in on himself and left a cardboard cutout for paper price saying, "This is awful, this is terrible."
Oh yeah.
Maybe he got back from that.
Mm.
And this is the whole Batman and Robin, the back credit card episode.
Okay, let's see, who else? Luigi hat. Yep.
Have you ever read any of the Guardians of the Galaxy?
I have not, unfortunately.
What, none of them?
I haven't. Well,
Any other generation?
I read Annihilation, and we have, I'm assuming, like 10 minutes left, 5 minutes left? 10 minutes. Very good. Thank you.
What, not even the classic ones?
I have not, no, sadly.
Whoa.
Although Marvel's been really good about promoting it. During Free Comic Book Day, they put out like a Rocket Raccoon comic.
Yeah.
Unlike DC, who put out Future's End #0.
You should, you really should, and I know people say you to read bad ones, the 90s Guardians of the Galaxy, not the modern incarnation, the old one, that is just some classic old school superhero craziness with sci-fi thrown in. It's fantastic.
I will do that.
Love the old ones.
Okay. That one. Yeah.
got a question for all of you. Do you review bad media which sometimes isn't relevant anymore as a form of catharsis to feel better about just what you're doing?
Yes.
Honestly, with my case, I've heard this argument before. This is probably going to be the quote on the third DVD. Why aren't you relevant anymore? This idea of relevance, and I talked about this before, like years ago when I reviewed One More Day. Basically, the thing is, who cares if it's not relevant? It's still crap. I mean, in 10 years down the line, someone's going to review Twilight again. Just because it's an oversaturation thing right now. But 10, 20 years, no one's going to have seen it because it already had that oversaturation. So now it's a fresh audience looking at things. And in the case of the bad media I review, sometimes it's nice to just see bad from different angles. I like seeing stuff from the 80s especially because it's a lot goofier in places. Silver Age comics have really, really dumb dialogue and really bizarre situations. That's its own brand of stupid. Modern comics have their own brand of stupid about them, usually relating to the fact that they want to be so grim dark and lots of murder, lots of blood, lots of gore. It's probably the reason why I haven't reviewed as many modern comics, because they're all the same. It's my same complaints over and over. So I fear it won't become an interesting episode. But whereas stuff from the 90s, stuff from the 80s and 70s, there's such a wide range of stupid.
Well, you know, honestly, this stuff never kind of loses its relevancy, because I noticed this with the Doctor Who stuff, and even with the Here There Be Dragons, they still make the same mistakes. They don't, it's bizarre the way they just don't learn from them. I mean, with Doctor Who, it's weird as hell because they have 50 years worth of highs and lows to point to. And yet they'll still make the exact same screw-ups that they would make in the old series in terms of how they told the story or choices for the characters or situations. They still do the same things. It's so really, in terms of good and bad, as long as the medium still exists, I mean, you can't go back and go, you know, I want to review old vaudeville, because that doesn't have any. There really isn't.
Ooh, there's an idea for Brad's reviewers, the vaudeville critic.
Yeah, there we go. It doesn't have anything to go for modern, but with a lot of this stuff, they still make it, and with comics, with video games, they still do the same stupid things.
I would go so far as to say that relevance is irrelevant. I
guess he's just leaving. Okay, good.
Door.
Okay. I was like, what did I say?
He doesn't like you, Tom. If Lynn Carr has to come back out there again, you wait till Angry Joe comes home.
I actually have a tiny bit of... What was that?
She said, don't make him break out the fat grandma.
Anyway, I have a tiny bit of a story. Years ago, my brother and I rented a movie at Blockbuster. I love bad movies, and I will seek them out, and I'll look for the worst thing I can find. And one day I found it. It was a movie called The Item. And yeah, it was like this little indie thing. It had like really bad CD on the cover. Like, okay, I'm gonna try this out. And it was horrifyingly bad. I could sit through almost anything. We turned this off after a half hour. And the thing is, after I returned it to Blockbuster, I noticed that it just vanished. Like I find, like, you go to a video store. There aren't a lot of them anymore, but you go to a video store, you'll always find that movie that you saw once. It's always there on the shelves. It's like, hey, remember that stupid movie? It was nowhere. It's like it never existed. I even forgot the name of the movie. And
well, let's see, the thing is, Tom, it never did exist.
It's like history was trying to course correct. Like I was forgetting it. Like it was like Dr. Brown removed it, and there are traces of it in my brain. They're slowly going away. And so, but years later, it's just like, it just stuck with me. It's like, that movie was so bad. Like, I'm kind of fascinated by it now. It's like this movie that may have never even existed. And so, I went on the Something Awful forums. They have a thread for people to, here's what I remember about the movie. What movie is this? And, so I asked someone about it and even forgot that I even posted it. And then, this came back to me like a year later. I was like, I'm gonna look this up again. And I did it in Google and it brought up my question in that forum. And someone told me the name of the movie. And I bought it. I actually bought it. And I'm going to review it one day, but for now it's just this horrifying
Was it as bad as you remember?
What's that?
Was it as bad as you remember?
I haven't had the guts to sit down and watch it again.
How much did it cost?
What's this?
How much did it cost?
See, I got it on eBay, and to justify it to myself, I bought like 3 or 4 other things so I would get less for shipping for this specific movie.
That's like saying, that time I had botulism sucked. Let me go out and get some.
I know, it makes no sense. I don't understand my actions in pursuing this movie. It had one good thing going for it, and that was the part where they're attacked by drag queens. And one of them uttered the line, "Ninja Queen."
Okay, don't let Allison hear about this or she will snatch it out before you do it.
It was called The Item, and it was an independent Canadian movie. And I actually...
It's going to jump up on Amazon, like hundreds of sales after today.
It is the worst movie I've ever seen. I found its page on IMDb, and there's like one review from someone who said they saw it at a film festival with the people who actually made it there. And like, I feel so bad for this woman, having to sit through that movie right in front of the people who made it.
Guys, it's 1:30, so we have to close up here. I'm going to be in the dealer's room a bit later, and probably so are these guys, so we have an autograph signing at 4:30. So come see us then, and I have a Top 4th Bowl live tomorrow. You guys doing any other panels?
I've got the autographs. We have D20 Live tonight.
Oh yeah, we have D20 Live tonight.
So show up. It's me and Lewis and
Dr. Holocaust.
Dr. Holocaust.
And one more I can't remember off the top of my head.
At 10:30, audition for the worst movie ever.
Yeah. And I've got a vlogging thing at 5:30. We got Leon.
This is it for me. I'll do the channel, I'll do autograph sessions, but also be one of the judges for auditions.
See you
Thank you, everybody.